It's only 12:59. Hey everybody. Josh here, Hippie Mystic, whatever you want to call me. Welcome to Conversations with SOTU, another Saturday. Um, Hope you're having a wonderful day. The energy's very interesting. I'm sure SOTU has a lot to say about it. Everything is well here in the Berkshires of Massachusetts. It's warm and humid for a change. The weather is somewhat normal, perhaps for the first time this season. It's very dry here, just as in other parts of the country. So who's been talking about the fact that the representation of your weather is a representation of the emotional state of your particular area. And for example, he was talking with someone in Colorado last week about how the danger is fire. And so, if you understand that that's going on, and you can pay attention to what's going on in your particular area, then you might be able to see where your own emotional connection is around that sort of reflection of reality in your lives. Because if nothing else, we would like you to be able to understand that there's a constant communication going on between you and your souls, your individual soul and the collective soul as well, because there is one. I am in an unconscious channel, which basically means I'm not going to have a lot of memory about what goes on during this session. So, too, has some things to say. The title today is called Lives Matter with a question mark. And you know what that's come from. That's come from the whole reflections of reality that are going on right now. We give our perspective because it is, there's not too many of us left. I'm 73, Adrian is 66. The prophet generation is rapidly dying off at this point in time, and there needs to be a way to present our viewpoint on things, not a viewpoint of the politicians or the people that are in charge or the people that have big money, but basically real folks. And so if you want to know who we are and you want more information about that, feel free to check out our Conversations with SOTU.org website, our peacegenesisproject.org website, or check out our Sunday morning shows at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday mornings on Blog Talk Radio, called Healing the Rift. And Healing the Rift is probably a real good focus on what we attempt to do. Without further ado, Adrian's waving her hand. Yes.
If you folks are watching SOTU Present Live, the show on Facebook, you need to be on the conversations.so2 Facebook page in order to comment. If you're on the Healing the Rift or the Peace Genesis Project, you'll see us, but we won't get your comments. So just scoot over to conversations.so2 on Facebook.
Okay. Ready to go? So, really, to those of you that are uninitiated, it's going to look like I close my eyes, and within a few seconds, some of you who are quite talented, I remember if Bob's out there, I remember Bob was one of those people that could used to be able to see, so too, um, coming in. But some of you may be talented enough to be able to see that. Otherwise, it's going to seem like I close my eyes, and when I open them back up again, I'll have a slightly different demeanor and a slightly different accent, I would say. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. All right. Mm-mm-mm. Give us a moment. All right. All right. Hello, dear ones. We are SOTU. Welcome to Conversations with SOTU. We are here today to begin to speak about the dynamics that are occurring in your world, why they're occurring in your world, how you are being misdirected energetically, and perhaps maybe even get into the point of what you might be able to do in order to begin to shift those things. Now, please understand, we are not here to create your reality for you. We are not here to become your savior. We are not here to do anything except remind you of who you all really are. And, we like to say that you are divine, all divine beings manifested in physical bodies, that you are all a part of the human race, at least most of you that we speak to. And you other ones, we understand that you do not really understand what we say to you because you do not have the emotional template. You do not have the emotional wherewithal to be able to understand humanity's particular role, particular place, earthly humanity's particular role, particular place in the dynamics of reality creation. So many in your world have you distracted. So many people in your world. You've got a lot to be upset about. The problem is that it's not, you should not necessarily be upset about the dynamics that you are allowing to come to the surface. You are allowing yourselves to be directed in certain areas, that you are allowing yourself to be manipulated emotionally in certain ways that bring up a great deal of rage and a great deal of anger and a great deal of frustration. And they do not come from the sources that you think that they do. Hello, Marilyn. And so understand that the sources of these situations are um, rooted deeply in the institutional unfairness. Ooh, how do you like that?
Like that
Institutional unfairness that exists in your world. And so you are being now directed in such a way as to cause division between all of you. So now that they have got these ones against that one and this, but this is really a class fight. This is a class war. This is about the one, and we could get thrown off with this, but this is about the 1/10 of 1% that are controlling all the rest of you. And if you get down to the bottom of everything, you're going to find corporate money, you're going to find corporate, all sorts of corporate dynamics that exist in that sort of way. Now, we realize that so many of you that are still flush have sold your souls to the corporation in many ways. And so, but that dynamic is going to be ending quite soon. Today is the longest day of the year. At 5:58, we believe this afternoon is going to be the, what shall we say, the apex, the moment of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. The amount of light is at its maximum, and yet the dynamics of your reality are showing completely the opposite. Why? Because there is also at 8 p.m. this evening, this is Eastern time in the United States, 8 p.m. this evening, somewhere around that time, there is a solar eclipse. And so, because of that dynamic, it is, so many have predicted the dynamic. Now, we're not predicting it, but that it's going to be earth shaking. We view it from a personal, emotional point of view, and we would suggest that each of you, in your own way, are facing your demons. Each of you, in your own way, are facing your dynamics of reality, that it is the deepest, darkest things that you have dealt with. We know so many of you right now. We have spoken with so many of you recently. Now, and those of you that are doing well, how do you do that without feeling guilty? You know, one of the hardest things to do is to realize that you're doing well while there are so many others that are living a nightmare. Well, that is very purposeful for those of you that are stable, those of you that have a foundation of belief, those of you that have an understanding of the specialness of life. We don't even wish to say sacredness, because what we wish you to consider in this particular session is, do lives matter? You, a species who slaughter each other at the drop of a hat? You who have a so little respect for life that you get overly sensitive about animals, and yet you are willing to allow children and adults to live on the street? How does that all go together? How does that matter to any of you? So, does life really matter? Do lives really matter? Or do only certain lives matter? Do certain special lives matter? Or are you all a part of earthly humanity? Are you all a certain species that was part of the great plan? Do you believe that there is some sort of semblance of understanding to be discerned from you and your universe? Well, if you did not, why would you have science? If you weren't curious, why would you explore? If you weren't adventuresome, what are the positive aspects of your humanity? How can you utilize this magnificent mammalian brain that you have to be able to be the peacemakers, to be the problem solvers? Can you realize that your reality, can you have enough objectivity, enough vision, enough understanding to realize that your reality has grown out of its adolescence and now faces the challenges of adulthood? So many of you look for sustainability, and yet you refuse to do those things that will make your world sustainable. You have gone back to a Darwinian dynamic. A number of years ago you did this. You went to a Darwinian dynamic of survival of the fittest as far as your financial and your business world went. And, the thing was that so many of you were able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and were able to put yourselves in a position where you even began to thrive in a society, in a system that had many things, what shall we say, stacked up against you. Any of you that have ever gone into business, any of you that have ever been an entrepreneur, any of you that have ever had to earn a salary in order to support yourselves or your families know exactly what we speak of. Yes, and because of this, and because of not because that the world is fair, but because you are adaptable, and you are clever, and you are creative. You created, many of you, so many of you, realities for yourself that you began to believe again in the possibilities of success, in the possibilities of the quote unquote American dream. Well, that couldn't be allowed, would it? Could it? Now, so many of you do not believe there are any conspiracy theories. Well, there are conspiracy facts. And some of those conspiracy facts are manifesting in your faces even as we speak. No one side is completely right and no one side is completely wrong. And if you understand that your world, as evidenced by America, has outgrown the industrial age and is moving and has moved into the technological age, where mundane labor is often not going to be required because it will be mechanized and put under a dynamic of artificial intelligence. Now, will that intelligence be utilized as a dynamic of power over you, or will it be utilized in a heart-centered sort of way that takes into consideration the fact that this new age is intended to be an easing of humanity to allow you to move beyond the dynamics emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, of understanding that you are moving beyond your adolescence, that there is no longer going to be enough jobs available for everyone in your world. And therefore, there needs to be a creation of a safety net for everyone on the planet. Now you say to us, how can this happen? And we say to you that there is more than enough wealth and that you are clever enough on your own to figure it out. But it's going to take, is it going to be completely socialistic or as the left is pushing for right now, communistic? Or is it going to be, well, free market on the other end? Well, it's a paradox. The truth of the matter is that in order to have a self-sustaining and peaceful world, just allow everyone to have enough. Food, water, shelter, healthcare, education. That would give you an equal playing field. Of course, then you would have to compete on your own level. Those of you in charge, are you afraid that you will be overwhelmed with the cleverness of humanity? Yeah, we think that's part of it. So, do lives matter? If you really get right down to it, it does. So many of you, you find it so much easier to love animals than it is to love each other. But we think very soon reality will be presenting itself with opportunities for growth in all levels, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Well, here you are. Excuse us. In the midst of chaos, with a youth approximately the same age as the youth were during the Vietnam War, but without the cause that brought them all together, which was their very lives were threatened by the draft, by the Vietnam War, by all of that. Not so much today. And so, yes, dear ones, and we speak to the youth out there, you have reasons to rebel, but you also have the cleverness and the wherewithal that if you just put your mind to it, you could find those solutions necessary to move earthly humanity from its adolescence to its adulthood. Now we realize that most of you that we speak to in this way are barely adults yourself. So tread easily. Listen to wise counsel. Wise counsel is available to you. Will you listen? Becomes the question. So, from our perspective, the dynamic of the reaction that is existing in your world is yelling and screaming and raging from a particularly appropriate place. It's just yelling about the wrong thing. Because the truth of the matter is, it is fairness that you all seek. Right. Well, we think that's enough for you to think about this week. We'll be back next week and things will have changed dramatically. Um, Pay attention to your reality. Pay attention to your inner emotional state. Realize it's exacerbated by the dynamics of the astrological, astronomical positioning now. Yes, Adrian, it is influenced by chunks of stone. Right. So, all right, dear ones, we love you all so very, very much. We realize, SOTU, only 20 minutes. You're welcome, Bettina. We love you all so very, very much. And so until tomorrow, we close. Sending you peace, sending you happiness, sending you joy. Bye.
We'll be on Blog Talk Radio, the show Healing the Rift at 11 in the morning Eastern Time for an hour and a half with SOTU. You can listen, you can call in, you can talk with SOTU. Blog Talk Radio, Healing the Rift, tomorrow and every Sunday. We hope to see you there.
Oh, don't say that. Gauntlet to the universe. Bye, guys. Love you all.